Okay, good morning, guys. This is my review of traveling to Florida from Toronto using Model X of Tesla 2018 75D. We have a family of six, four children, and husband and wife. We just traveled over the weekend, so we started our journey on last weekend, Friday, and arrived to Florida on Sunday. Now, some of the things we noticed as a first time long drive, it was a bit of a headache to figure out where we will end up stopping and charging. I was trying to do it online using the Tesla available websites. However, those are only valid for the long range or more recent models. This model did not have that kind of privilege. What was the easiest thing to do that I should have done more in the beginning was at my house already, just adding the address of the hotel that I wanted to stay over, the final destination in Florida, and then seeing how frequently the charging is being recommended. Now, you could do that. The problem is that it will give you the suggestion based on your last 25 kilometer, if that's what your default setup is, which you can change apparently to 50 kilometers. Maybe I should take a picture of it and add it to this video later on. But basically, in the settings, you can change it from 25 kilometer, which is the default setting, to check your performance, and based on that, it gives you the estimates to 50 kilometers. However, for a long drive where you're going to be packing some luggage, I assume, and lots of like snacks and such, and your kids will be all in there, it might not be valid estimate because you were traveling in the car most likely alone for the last 50 kilometers, and you're, even if you were traveling with your family, you wouldn't be using the car the way you would when you have luggage with you and food supplies. So that was one thing that we noticed was not consistent until after we started traveling. So whatever range it gives you, just know that it's the more than it will be. Once we started traveling, what happened was it gives you the next supercharger and how much you need to charge there. However, if in the middle of the road you decide that I want to reanalyze based on my last 50 kilometer driven, you should end the trip and redo it. And that will allow you to get a clear estimate, like a better estimate, that how much will be your real charge now based on your last 50 kilometers driven. For a long road trip like that, that comes handy. And the time of the day matters too. So for example, if you're traveling early morning, the weather is not that hot, it's gonna give you a better estimate. But I noticed when the weather was really, really hot and you end up using the AC is being taking more electricity than it was in early morning or in the evening. So your range drops as a result of how far you can get and how much percentage you will have left before you arrive to the station to charge up. I was not comfortable driving with only 10%. I preferred if it showed me 15% or 20% for up to the next supercharger, and I realized that there was no need to take that stress because there were quite a lot of superchargers in America, not so many in certain parts in Canada. So depending where you're traveling from, make sure that you err on the side of caution on how you use your car if there's not enough Tesla chargers, because you don't want to be stranded on the highway with no electricity. And believe it or not, we did meet somebody on our way back whose car electricity was used up on the highway, and they had to tow their Tesla to the supercharger. And unfortunately, after they towed it to the supercharger, it was just not charging. So they were kind of stuck, but there was a rental car. I assume that if you have your own car, you would just do a service request on the Tesla app to figure out why it's not charging, because at that point it seemed like it was a system failure. Regardless, so these are just some of my learnings that I'm just putting it out in the video right now so that I don't forget later on to share with you guys. One of the things I noticed was auto drive features are amazing for the most parts. Like on the highway, we really benefited from it. I only have the auto drive. I don't have the full serve drive. The auto drive allows you to basically take full control on, it takes full control on the highway. It even changes the lanes to stay en route for wherever your destination is. So, for example, when we were in certain places in the states, I'm not familiar with their roads and their exits, and then the map that is showing up on the Tesla app was not consistent with the labels that you see physically on the boards. But the auto drive feature, what it did was it automatically picks the right exits or merges itself properly, even though the names might not match with the map. Like, it takes you the right places. The only negative thing I noticed with this was it does not adjust. If, let's say, you're exiting off the highway, and it does exit for you, by the way, it will exit, and it will even, an icon will even come up saying autopilot is going out of it's gonna stop soon, something to that effect. But it does not reduce the speed, so it's exiting and there's like a curve, and it's going on full-fledged highway speed. So I noticed a few times I had to take fully over and brake. I don't know why it does that. Like, I wish that they would not. I wish it would automatically decrease. It does it very abruptly, meaning it will try to exit on full speed, and after the curve, it hits the curve, then it actually does recognize, the system recognizes that speed is lower. So it seems like their systems are not communicating with each other. Me and my husband noticed, for example, the exit is coming up in 1 kilometer and you're already in the right lane, but it tells you, hey, do you want to switch to a faster lane, which is on the left side? And so whenever there's a lane switch recommendation, it doesn't switch for you, it just recommends to you. And so you have the opportunity to either acknowledge that, yes, I would like to switch by using the handles. And if you don't do anything, then that pop-up will go away. So we noticed that it was doing unnecessarily, like closer to the exits, it was unnecessarily trying to optimize you being in the right lane. And then it made no sense, because if I did that, then I'll be stuck last minute trying to change my lane to get the exit. So I think there are multiple systems within the Tesla application that are not consistent in talking to each other, because ideally it should not even make you switch lane within, let's say, I would say like 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers, or there should be a way to set that, or it should be able to comprehend that there's enough traffic that it doesn't make sense to do that. But it wasn't doing that. So that one you have to do your own self a favor and not acknowledge. But yeah, the negative thing I noticed was the exit points and the speed at which it exits. That made me very uncomfortable. Other than that, the lane changes were pretty safely done. It waits till like the cars are quite far, and then it makes it. And the merging and the exiting from multiple options on the highway made our journey quite easy. Oh yeah, the other thing we noticed was, I think most people recognize this right away. The first half hour it charges really fast, and later on it depletes the velocity at what it's charging your car. So it's in our benefit not to charge the car all the way. For example, if you have a really far away supercharger and you are tempted to do 100%, even then it doesn't make sense to do 100%. You should do like 95 at the most, because you will lose out otherwise on all the regenerative energy that it does when you brake and you do other things. So you're basically like, it's unnecessary to do 100%, is my opinion, and other Tesla drivers will agree. But ideally it should not be more than 80% if you have frequent superchargers in your way. And by the end we were pretty comfortable to not do fully charge. In 30 minutes, 45 minutes. The only reason we went over was because we were just like, I guess, enjoying our time talking to other Tesla owners about all the other things that they've been experiencing, which was another unique feature of charging your car. We did feel like we met people because you were kind of waiting there to charge, so you end up using the washroom and the taking a break. You wouldn't do that in a gas car. In the gas car, you'll kind of push yourself to go all the way, like 4 hours or whatever that it allows you to. Whereas in this one, you had to take the breaks more frequently, like 2 hours. So just be very mindful what you pack. All the heavy things you pack will add weight and reduce your range. So in my opinion, packing like enough snacks, just like, and I mean like liquids, they are more heavy. So just enough until the next stop is sufficient. Don't carry like a carton of water bottles and juice boxes and things like that will heavy make it heavy and weigh you down. Any equipment that you don't need, don't bring it. Like just carry light things with you that you need. That would be making your journey efficient. Tesla charging stations had different rates in different cities. Um, Evening charges were way less than the afternoon. Overall, like I would say, it was a good experience, minus the fear of the charge being out. Like for example, we were driving and there was a really horrible weather in Florida, and the system just kind of like it had detected bad poor weather conditions, and so you have to take full control. But you I felt like that was fearful for me because I was supposed to reach my destination, the supercharger station, with 20%. And at that point, when all of a sudden there was a horrible weather, I had to use the full-fledged wipers, and like I had to turn off like the AC in the car and stuff, like just to like make sure that I'm not overusing now, because the weather became really bad. Now I had to slow down significantly, and then like use high beam, things like that. So those kind of things kind of mess you up a little bit. And in my opinion, if that happens, this is what we did. We actually just found the closest Tesla charging station at that point. But let's say you couldn't find the Tesla charging station at that point, don't drive in those conditions, because you don't want to be stranded. On some of those roads did not have lights. Like on the highway, they had no lights, and people were driving like ridiculous speeds, like 120, 25, 130 in bad weather too. And some people were just crazy. Maybe this is a norm for them and they're used to it. But regardless, we didn't take a risk. We actually exited and we tried to find a hotel. The hotel's lights were out. But we stopped actually driving, and we went to a charge station, and we just kind of stayed there until the weather became better. And that's what my advice is for you guys too. If you have to travel, don't travel in bad weather. You'd risk losing your charge. Depends how much comfortable you are and how further things are. And what happens if there were actually accidents too that day. Lots of accidents. So if you get stuck behind an accident, then that's all like you waiting and wasting your energy. And I don't know, the guy who towed the other person's Tesla looked very inexperienced. Like it was his first Tesla car that he towed, and he didn't even know how to put it in neutral. He got it to the charging station, he didn't know how to put it, open the port, things like that. And we tried to troubleshoot it with him, but there was absolutely no charge left in the car. He boosted it so many times, the screen was just not turning on, so we were not able to put it in neutral. Maybe there's a way to do it manually. I didn't know at that time, but I haven't had time to like research this. Maybe that's a good backup plan to figure out what to do in the event something like that happen, or better just don't put yourself in that position that you need to figure that out. Ideally, Tesla should have their own what do you call the people, tow truck drivers? Yes, their own tow truck drivers. Sorry, I'm still tired, just got here early morning today. So yeah, they should have their own tow truck drivers who should be called, because the other people do not know what to do with this car. And that guy wasted so much, like not wasted, but he tried to help for such a long time, and you could sense that he was feeling like messed up himself, because he's losing money by spending so much time on this one customer, right? But he was very kind. He stayed, he tried to figure it out for a while with us. And that the poor guy whose car gave up on him was in the end he ended up getting through to his renting agency. I think it was Hertz, and then he was able to talk to them. So he decided to wait for them there. They were going to come and bring the other car for him, and I don't know how they were going to pick up the other one. But bottom line, you don't want to be in that position. I'm sure I'll get more ideas and tips that you could do for making your journey better. Oh yeah, one thing that I found really cool, the Tesla car seats drop. So if you have that feature, which I hope you do, but If you don't, then I don't know which type of model you have. But yeah, so all the seats should be able to drop. So the back ones, we dropped them on while we were charging. We did that a couple times. I don't know why on the way back two of them were not dropping anymore. I have to look into it. But while we were going, we were able to drop them, and then you can literally take a proper nap. And some of them, like the charging stations, they don't have any issue with how long you park your car. So if you really are exhausted and you really do need to take a nap, we just put the AC on and you're comfortable because you're already in the charging station, and there was like a lot of space. Like it was a very non-busy time. I think it was like evening-ish, and we were tired, but we didn't have enough energy to go to the hotel. We took a power nap and we put all the seats down, and the front two also, we put it all the way back so that two of the kids can go in the front, and we can sleep in the back. And that actually did make us get some rest. And I saw actually a few other Tesla owners doing the same thing. They even came with more comfortable pillows and blankets and everything set up. I don't advise you to do that on the highway though. I'm only encouraging you to do this while the car is charging, and if you choose to stay behind for a bit long not driving, because God forbid in the event that somebody hits you or some accident happens, you don't want to be not buckled, because you do want your kids and your family to be safe. So make sure you do buckle up when you're driving. But this is a good idea if you're really tired and you don't have the capacity to go to your hotel. It's another 2 hour or 3 hour way, and you do need the rest, so take the rest this way. Most of those stopovers we saw, there was sheets. They had some really good refreshments and food and items available. I eat vegetarian halal meals, so for me the food wasn't that a good option, but if you, depending on what you are looking for for us it was easier to just go get fruits and actual sandwiches and stuff like cheese, and make it ourselves in the car. Like that was much more easier than to keep eating pizza, I guess. But yeah, so those were a few things that I would change about next time if I traveled for myself. And I do feel like the sunlight comes a lot, and this is one feature that is a pro and a negative for me. I love the view from the huge front windows, but then when it's really bright and sunny, like you really like literally I felt like my hand was burning while driving. I wish I had shades that I could do on the front side windows. That little dash on the top is not enough to cover the sunlight when it hits you. So yeah, so those were some negatives. So maybe have like what I had, an extra hijab that I just covered my arm with when the sun was hitting like my hand. And to avoid the burn, maybe make sure you have another t-shirt, full sleeve t-shirt or something that you can throw on top if it gets to that. Yeah, other than that, I think everything overall was decent for a first time drive for us. Hope this video benefits you, and your journey goes much more smoother than ours. Just remember to recheck the range frequently if you're driving and your situation changes, because it does change, and the Tesla app doesn't necessarily route you. We did notice it routed at us at one point to a closer supercharger on its own, and at one point it changed to a farther charger on its own. So meaning we were driving like efficiently more than it thought we would, and it recommended to go to the next one, but I still stopped to the closer one for my own personal preference. But yeah, so those are some things you'll notice with the car, and just be safe and err on the cautious side. Thank you for watching. Bye.